Hello everyone, my name's Nico, and this is a follow-up to my previous video where I talk about ending the Israel-Gaza conflict. And in this video I want to discuss 3 solutions to ending this conflict and coming to a peace settlement. So first of all, there is the two-state solution that everyone talks about. This would be recognizing the sovereignty of Israel as well as the national sovereignty and independence of Palestine, which would include the West Bank and Gaza. This is the solution people talk about most often, and it would entail 2 separate countries with details to be worked out as to a capital. Would the capital of Israel maybe be Tel Aviv, and the capital of Palestine be East Jerusalem, or maybe the capital of Palestine can be elsewhere within the West Bank, such as Roabi, the new big Palestinian city development that's being built currently, and kind of a country with primarily in West Bank, with the capital being there, and including the Gaza Strip exclave. That would be a good solution, and maybe a goal or a term of condition for that to be approved of by the Israeli side would be the outlawing of Hamas terrorist organization by this future Palestinian state, and a guarantee to keep that terrorist organization and all others like it barred and banned from holding public office. And there's already the barriers in place. There's a wall along the Israel-Gaza border. There's a whole wall along the Israel-West Bank border, so it's definitely doable. The Palestinians being stateless citizens, not having real passports. I mean, they have passports issued by the Palestinian National Authority, but they're not real passports, as Palestine's not a real country. And this has been a 75-year-long aspiration of the Palestinian people. So that is solution 1, the 2-state solution. Solution 2, a 1-state solution. Okay, this is where Israel, West Bank, Gaza all become part of one state, the state of Israel, on the condition that Gaza and West Bank residents are granted full citizenship and full rights by the Israeli state, voting rights, citizenship, and presumably some level or degree of assimilation, while still respecting the predominantly Muslim faith and Arabic language of the residents of Palestine, that being West Bank and Gaza, respecting the cultural differences and religious and linguistic differences, while still being allowed to be a part of the Israeli state and all that is entailed with that. That would be a some people within Israel call for that solution Gideon Levy. He's a pretty prominent Israeli journalist and writer. He used to support the 2-state solution, but now he supports the 1-state solution. And in some ways, I think it's more practical and realistic. Obviously, some of the same conditions, outlawing of Hamas. They wouldn't be in control of the Gaza Strip anymore, obviously. More moderate regional leadership or provincial, whatever. Obviously, with a centralized federal government in the Knesset parliament in Tel Aviv. As a term of condition, yeah, the capital could be Tel Aviv instead of Jerusalem, because that might be too contentious for the Palestinians to ever get on board with having Jerusalem be the capital. So maybe as a negotiating tactic and a negotiation of good faith, have the capital be in Tel Aviv, more neutral location. This would also have the added benefit of bringing West Bank and Gaza up to first world Western living standards, as Israel currently has, with running tap water, paved roads, running water, and electricity, and better building codes, better infrastructure, and all other things that entails. Better employment, better standard of living, as currently these occupied territories, the West Bank and Gaza in particular, the Gaza Strip, is very, very poor by Israeli and Western standards. So that would be a benefit of that. So far we have the two-state solution that everyone knows about and is often discussed. The one-state solution, merge everything together and some level of cultural assimilation while respecting the religious and linguistic differences of the Palestinians and Israelis. The linguistic, cultural, and religious differences, sorry, I should say. And yeah, a third option would be ceding or annexing by the other countries, or Israel negotiating away the West Bank and Gaza Strip, presumably with the Gaza Strip going over to Egypt, as would geographically make sense. And Egypt and Gaza Strip are both Muslim and Arabic speaking, so it would be an easier assimilation process. And the Egyptian state could take over all functions of Gaza City and incorporate it as their northeasternmost territory bordering the Sinai Peninsula, and the West Bank going to Jordan, which is Jordanian territory is the East Bank because it's east of the West Bank. That would make a lot of sense too, actually, because something like 70% of Jordanian citizens are of Palestinian origin, and there's millions of Palestinian refugees living in Jordan already. So there's kind of a natural cultural continuum between the West Bank and Jordan, whereas that doesn't really exist with West Bank and Israel proper. That would take some high level of negotiation and a trilateral negotiation and meeting between Israel, Egypt, and Jordan, three nations, as well as getting the West Bank and Gaza City residents on board. Of the three propositions, I think the third one here, the ceding territory by Israel and Egypt and Jordan, this is probably the least feasible of the three solutions. But it is a solution nonetheless, especially if the West Bank residents and Gaza residents flat out refuse the one-state solution of becoming part of Israel, or flat out refuse to become their own country. You got to think about the various ways this could go and the pros and cons of doing each. The pros of the two-state solution, it's the most well-known, it's the most comprehensively talked about, and there's already kind of a natural border in the form of a wall between West Bank and Israel and Gaza. So that's, yeah. The cons could be further war and flare up between these two sides, as has happened already, but in a more of a military style. If this new state of Palestine has an official military, it could get even worse if a conflict did come into being after the independence was announced. Two actual militaries versus just the Israeli military and Hamas militants. But yeah, that's the ideas for the two-state solution. Pros of the one-state solution, as I said, yeah, higher living standards for Gaza and West Bank. Another pro would be citizenship and higher living standards for Gaza and West Bank residents. Cons, big cultural differences between the Palestinians and Israelis, and maybe a lot of resistance to assimilation efforts by the predominant community, that being the Jewish Israelis in this equation, that would be trying to assimilate the Palestinians into this new state. So that's the one-state solution. And pros and cons of the cessation, the ceding and annexation plan. Well, the pros would be closer cultural affinity between Egypt and Gaza, as opposed to Israel and Gaza, and closer cultural affinity between Jordan and the West Bank versus Israel and the West Bank. Cons would be just getting everyone on board with this plan, and how would this go over for Egypt and Jordan, absorbing like millions of more people, and how much of a strain would that put on the Jordanian and Egyptian states in terms of assimilation and just food and water supplies and infrastructure for all these new residents. But these are all things to consider. These are all solutions to consider, as the status quo is clearly not working based on what we're seeing in Gaza. And we can't just keep doing the same thing. And that's the definition of insanity. Just keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And the same thing's been happening for 75 years now, since like 1948. So this conflict needs to end as soon as possible. The Israelis and Palestinians need to get to the negotiating table in good faith and negotiate with Egypt and Jordan if needed, as well as the outside world. And this should preferably happen through a neutral outside party. Maybe like Switzerland would be a good example. They've traditionally taken this neutral peace mediator role in the past, and I think they would probably be a good fit, as they don't have too many interests in the Middle East, so I think they could be a pretty non-biased intermediary. So this is my 3 solutions to end the Israel-Palestine conflict. I hope you've enjoyed these solutions, and if you think of anything else, or if you'd like to add to these 3 concepts, please comment on my video here in the comment section and give me any feedback. I'd love to hear more from you guys, and please subscribe to my channel, Everything Cascadia. Let's get this audience growing. Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat next time. Shalom, salam.